Welcome back to AutoLooks Online. I'm Everett, and this week we're looking at the brand new 2019 Chevrolet Silverado and see how Chevrolet thinks this thing is really going to take on the F-150, the Titan, the Ram, and the Tundra. Hey, Chevrolet has always been one of those people that's kind of created a brand new, vehicle every few years. Now, we didn't expect the 2019 would be the refresh of their vehicle, considering the fact that they just released the Silverado just back a few years ago. Now, we kind of figured that they're going to do the revamp of this thing for 2019 because Nissan just brought out the Titan, Dodge is about to release the brand new Ram 1500, and Ford is about to release the brand new Ranger. Now, we get it. This thing doesn't compete against the Ranger, but Ford is upping the ante, bringing back something that's going to compete against their lower brands, the Colorado and the GMC Canyon. Now, Chevrolet, on the other hand, has decided to upgrade their Silverado. Now, is this upgrade good or is this upgrade bad? Let's just say this upgrade is an upgrade. That's about it. And Chevrolet could have done a way better job of upgrading this vehicle. Let's take a look. Up front, you can see that Chevrolet has brought back their late 90s, early 2000s front grille. Take a look back to the year, let's just say 2001. Take a look at that rounded front end, where they basically brought their late 80s, early 90s model, and they kind of added a little more features and rounded it out, put some bubble lights on the front end. That's what we got here. Look at the grille. Seriously, it's the same thing. It's like they went back to the early 2000s and said, hey, nobody remembers that grille. Kids today that are buying trucks don't remember that. Let's just take that. We're going to put that on this brand new 2019 Silverado. Well, unfortunately, AutoLooks knows, and AutoLooks sees that you guys are digging into your previous parts bins and kind of using up old stock. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, this doesn't work. Neither does a flat bumper with cheap added fog lights. And considering the fact that you guys didn't add in a front skid plate to this truck, it really doesn't emphasize the truck appeal. Now, Chevrolet did kind of do the same thing that Ford has been doing with a lot of their vehicles, is adding cut ends from the side of the vehicle into their headlights. Now it comes in from the side instead of from the grille like Ford, kind of making it a little bit different, more, I guess you could say, Nissan Maxima inspired, but less Chevrolet inspired. You know, they were getting more into the straight across grille on a lot of their vehicles, but apparently in this feature, Chevrolet's doing away with those things. They're taking the old front end of an early 2000 Chevrolet and slapping it on the full body of a 2017 Chevrolet Silverado. Now, there is one good feature at the front end of this bad boy. They have added in some brand new we shouldn't say evil, sinister looking headlights. That when these things are sitting behind you in traffic, if it's in this type of red, and it's got a big push bar on the front end, you might be a little scared, thinking that, is this thing gonna attack me? Is it gonna suck my blood? Is it gonna pick me up and send me to hell? I don't know. But Chevrolet thinks that this thing is gonna change their market share. Well, unfortunately, the Nissan Titan, when they rebuilt their vehicle, they did a way better job than Chevrolet has done with this thing. Because what we could say is the front end of this thing really takes away from what they had last time. They had a nice big chrome grille. They had, great features along the side. They integrated the fog lamps. Unfortunately, that previous vehicle didn't integrate the front bumpers, which they actually have done now, which does make this a little bit better. Now, they did rake the windshield back and created a little bit better image for you in the front end. You can see better out of the front end of this vehicle than the previous model, which is a good thing. They could have cowled the hood a bit more to add in a bit more grunt to the front end of this vehicle, considering the fact that they didn't add any chrome, and they have a very cheap, Walmart Canadian Tire-esque front grille. Now, let's move on to the back of this bad boy. Back end of this thing, what do we first see? What's the first impression of this thing? Flat, a giant name. Hey, I wonder if that's a Ford. Is that a Raptor rear end? Or is it a Chevrolet rear end? We don't know. But if you actually take a look at the two of them combined together, like next to each other, take a look at the picture. Put a picture of the front of this vehicle next to the picture of the back end of this vehicle on your computer. Let's do it right now. Okay, take a look at this. Now, does the front end seem like it actually flows with the back end? This is flat with a lot of hard edges. The front end, it's curved with a lot of smooth edges. Well, except for the headlights. Do those two really go together? Or is it like they're two different time zones? Or in fact, two different countries? It's like one is the United States, the other one is Canada. Or let's just say they're two different time zones. It's like Eastern Standard Time to Central Standard Time. Chevrolet could have done a little bit better job at this. Now, the taillights on this thing actually do blend in very well with the rear end. And because they went with all the hard edges along the side of the vehicle, it does suit it a lot better than previous models. One great feature that we do find with the Chevrolet Silverado is they did integrate the exhaust into the rear bumper of the vehicle. We get a lot of vehicles are starting to change over to hybrids or green, all that crap. But unfortunately, the actual gasoline, or I should say internal combustion engine, is still around and still going to be around for a while. Trucks haven't been displaced by this. Now, we all know there's a company in Canada, actually from Waterloo, Ontario, called Havilar, which is now creating a green truck. They're trying to beat Tesla to the marketplace. Fortunately, they don't have the backing to do it, but they are trying to take over these guys' place. Now, add into that integrated exhaust, could have been done a little bit bigger, but the style of it does suit the back because they are hard edges and it is more of a square profile, like the rear tailgate of this truck. It's very, very square, very flat, very simple, but it does work. Now add into that the fact that Chevrolet did add their footstools to the back bumper. Now, we all know Ford actually has that little step with the handlebar on it. But unfortunately, if you're carrying plywood in the back of your truck, it sits on top of that and you can't get in. Chevrolet has gone one step above and they've actually added these foot placements onto their bumper. It's a great feature and I wish every truck out there actually did have this feature. I think they should all go to General Motors and ask them to use this feature because getting into the back of the truck, how many times have people jump up on the bumper to get into the back? And Chevrolet said, hey, let's do something about that. And they added these in. Ford can have their step stool. We're going to have our bumper stool. Now, the back window actually does, for a truck, blend into the back of this vehicle. So we can say that Chevrolet did do a good job of this. Now, the rear cargo lights on a vehicle are integrated very well. And they do add to the back end. Now, we're going to move on to the side of this thing. Now, the side of it is kind of, well, let's just say, is kind of good and kind of bad. Chevrolet went with small blackened wheels, not a lot of chrome, very simplistic, very reminiscent of the 80s and early 90s. Those standard flat profile star hubcaps. Well, not hubcaps, rims. In this case, this truck could have done a lot better and a lot bigger. The wheels on it, like the actual tires, could have been a little bit bigger. Now, these ones are chunky enough that they will grab the dirt and get you through, well, pretty much anything that the Suburbanite will need to go through. Maybe a little bit of dirt on the weekend. But they could have done a bit better job of making it a little bit bigger. Moving on to the profile of the side, they did drop the side window, sort of like as Ford has done, which actually is a copy of the original Jeep Wrangler. It's made so you can actually see right over the side of your vehicle. Now, their side window design does suit the vehicle, and the door handles do blend in because it's the standard black along with everything else in this vehicle. But they did add, some nice character lines. You can see the front line going from just under the driver's side window all the way to the back. That's good, but the front line goes from the headlight and cuts down. What they could have done is actually X'd in that character line and blend the entire profile together. If they had done that, it would have created an X profile on it. We all know Chevrolet likes the X, hence the old Extreme models they used to have. The Typhoon or the Extreme S10. They could have done that with this. It would have made it look so much better if they had done almost an X profile on the side of this vehicle with its character lines. Would have actually made it a little bit easier for the aftermarket industry to make this thing look mean, look rugged, and basically set the world on storm at SEMA next year. But unfortunately, Chevrolet, did away with that and added 2 separate character lines which don't intersect at all. Next to that, everything else on the side of this vehicle is pretty standard. It's got, wide enough wheel wells that are chunky enough for your wheels, but not big enough that you need, for oversized wheels. So when you start putting extra sized mudders on this thing, you're going to have to build them out and put some of those cheap plastic wheel well covers on it. Unfortunately for Chevy, that's going to diminish this brand and this image and make it look even cheaper, more like a cheap, well, we can't really say Tonka truck, like a cheap plastic toy that you buy at a dollar store for your kid when they're misbehaving and say, hey, here's a truck. Now, overall, the new Silverado is a decent sized truck. It's decent for what it's going to do. Unfortunately, its appeal, looking at images of this damn thing, it looks like, well, from far away, it looks like more like a mid-sized truck, not a full-size truck. That's the overall appeal this truck has. It looks smaller than it really is. We get it, it's a full-size pickup truck, but its overall image makes it look smaller than it really is. Now, we're not going to say that this is going to increase its brand value or increase the stock market of this vehicle. It's kind of going to stay the same. We'd like to ask you just to watch it. I wouldn't really buy into it because I really don't see the new Silverado taking the world by storm. Their previous model kind of took the world by storm, but this one, not really. But we do have one good thing to say. Is this will become an aftermarket dream truck. Because looking at the front end of that truck, yeah, we know we hate the grille. We hate that smooth lines. But this truck, we can really see a competitor to the Raptor being built out of this thing. We all know we saw the Lingenfelter Rapier. Kind of a funny name. I don't know if I'd want to choose it. Built for Chevrolet to kind of compete against the Raptor. We've seen the Ram Runner. Unfortunately, nobody's actually built a production truck to go up against the Ford Raptor. Well, maybe this brand new Chevrolet Silverado, looking at its design, you can really see that this thing could be turned into a Raptor competitor very easily. Because that front grille is completely separate from the rest of the front end, because it's all blacked out, you could tear it apart and put your own front grille onto that thing that's mean, that's vicious, that's going to compete against the Raptor. And we're kind of hoping that somebody actually does, because Ford has owned that marketplace for way too long. They owned the Lightning thing for well over a decade until Dodge said, hey, we're going to build the SRT Ram and we're going to take you and your world title record to the bank. And they did. So let's see if Chevy can do that with the Ford Raptor, because really, somebody needs to give that truck a run for the money. And maybe this new Silverado will. So keep watching us on our YouTube feed. Like us on Facebook, and keep checking some of our tweets on Twitter. And we'd like to say, hey, strap yourself in and hold on, because Chevrolet is going to turn this Silverado into a Raptor competitor. We're counting on it.